Chapter 55, Are Troubles and Pains Real? At one time, Buddha lived in a bamboo forest where the chinchilla were kept in Wangshicheng, and one day, before noon, Buddha put on his robes and took a rice bowl and went door to door in the city of Wangshi, regardless of rich and poor. A naked practitioner saw the Buddha in the distance, approached the Buddha, and after greeting each other, he stood aside, and the naked practitioner said to the Buddha, Gautama, Buddha, I have some questions I would like you to answer. I don't know, would you like to answer my questions? The Buddha said, if you come to a place now, wait until you get to that place, and come back to answer your question. So followed the Buddha along the way, and on the way, couldn't wait to ask the Buddha one after another, Gautama, can I ask you questions now? Can you answer my questions now? The Buddha replied to him, when you get to the place where you are going, you will come again to answer your questions. Repeatedly asked the Buddha to answer his questions, but he did not achieve his wish, so he said to the Buddha a little angrily, Gautama, since you are not willing to answer my questions, then I will not ask you anymore. I have other things to do, then we will see you later. With that, prepared to leave the Buddha. The Buddha saw that was leaving, so he said to K, if you have any questions, what doubts do you have, please say, if you come now to answer for you. Kaya then said to the Buddha, Gautama, are the troubles and sufferings of your own making? The Buddha replied, this is not the case, and the troubles and sufferings are not self-inflicted. Said, are troubles and sufferings the result of other people or things from the outside world? The Buddha replied, disturbing and suffering are not created by other people or things from the outside world. Thought for a moment and continued to ask the Buddha, are troubles and sufferings caused by oneself and others or from the outside world? The Buddha replied, afflictions and suffering are not created by oneself and others or by external things. Said, then afflictions and pains are neither produced by oneself, nor by others or by external things, but by vacuum? The Buddha replied, troubles and suffering do not arise out of thin air. Said, Gautama, is there no trouble and pain at all? The Buddha replied, trouble and suffering are not non-existent. Troubles and pains do exist. Said, Gautama, is there a disturbing and painful existence, but you have not had disturbing and suffering, so you do not know what disturbing and painful are, and you do not understand what the feeling of producing disturbing and suffering is? The Buddha said, this is not the case. For example, when you have practiced in the past, you have also had problems and suffering, you know what they are and what the feelings that produce them are and what are the feelings that produce them and suffering. Said suspiciously, Gautama, then I don't understand, I just asked you, are troubles and pains of your own making? You say that troubles and pains are not self-inflicted. I ask you, are your troubles and pains the result of other people or things from the outside world? You also say that troubles and pains are not created by others or outside things. I continue to ask you, are troubles and pains the result of oneself and others or external things? You still answer that troubles and pains are not created by yourself and others or by external things. I ask you, are troubles and pains neither produced by oneself nor by others or by external things, but by vacuum? Your answer is that annoyance and pain do not arise out of thin air. I ask you, is there no such thing as trouble and pain? You say that there are problems and pains, and I ask you if they really exist, just because you have not produced them in pain, so you do not know what the troubles and pains are. And you do not understand what the feelings that produce them are and what are the feelings, is that so? You said that you also had disturbing and suffering when you practiced in the past, and you also understood what the feelings of disturbing and suffering are. Then I don't understand, I say this you say no, I say that you also say no, how do troubles and pain arise? You tell me directly, save me from asking you some more questions without boundaries, and waste the time of the two of us. The Buddha said, don't be anxious, if you come now to solve your confusion, if someone thinks like this, people who think that people who cause troubles and pains are people who suffer from disturbing and painful feelings, and they think that the troubles and pains are produced by themselves, then they will think that as long as they exist, the troubles and pains will always accompany them, because they think that the troubles and pains are produced by themselves, and if they have countless cycles of life and death, they will produce the so-called me countless times, and produce themselves countless times. Then they think that as long as there is this existence of me, the troubles and pains will always accompany themselves, so doesn't this countless rebirth and regeneration mean that the troubles and pains will always accompany them? K, which is a common, that is, constant, belief that troubles and pains will accompany you forever. This is an extreme insight. K, if one thinks that it is someone else or something outside that causes the troubles and pains, the one who bears the feelings of the troubles and pains is another person, the author of the causes of the troubles and pains, and the person who bears the troubles and pains are two different people or things. If they think that their troubles and pains are created by other people or things outside the world, then they will think that other people or things outside the world are dead, perished, and disappeared, and their troubles and pains do not exist and are destroyed. This is a kind of severance view, which believes that troubles and pains are produced by other people or external things, and once other people or external things die, perish, and disappear, the troubles and pains do not exist, they are extinguished, and the belief that other people or external things die, perish, and disappear, and that troubles and pains are forever extinguished and no longer arise. K, your question after that, what kind of troubles and pains are produced by yourself and others or things outside the world? What troubles and pains are neither produced by oneself, nor by others or by external things, but are they produced out of thin air? These are within the constant view and the cessation of the view. K. Rulai has been freed from the two extreme views of permanence and extinction, such as the idea that afflictions and suffering are born of causes and conditions, and that afflictions and suffering are born and destroyed by causes, and this is the method of dependent origin. K. What is the method of dependent origin? The sequence of the dependent origin method is, action is produced with ignorance as the precondition, knowledge is produced with action as the precondition, name is produced with knowledge as the precondition, 6 places are produced with famous color as the precondition, touch is produced with 6 as the precondition, receive is produced with touch as the precondition, love is produced with acceptance as the precondition, take is produced with love as the precondition, take is produced with take as the precondition, have is produced with take as the precondition. As a prerequisite arises birth, so that having birth will produce sorrow, sadness, distress, worry, despair, aging, death. This is the process by which the sufferings and troubles of people or beings in the world gather, and people or beings in the world will continue to suffer and sink in the cycle of life and death according to the law of dependent origin, suffering and suffering. The retrograde of the law of dependent origin is, ignorance is destroyed without giving birth to action, action is destroyed without knowledge, knowledge is destroyed without giving birth to name, name is destroyed without giving birth to 6 places, 6 places is destroyed without touch, touch is destroyed without receive, receive is destroyed without receive, receive does not give birth to love, love is destroyed without giving birth to take, take is destroyed without giving birth to have is destroyed without birth, birth is extinguished without arise, sorrow, sorrow, bitterness, worry, despair, old age, and death are extinguished. This is the process by which the suffering and troubles of people or beings in the world are eliminated. People or sentient beings in the world can be freed from the troubles and sufferings of the cycle of life and death by retrograde according to the law of dependent origin. After the Buddha spoke to the naked practitioner K said excitedly, "Great virtue! Venerable Master! I have never heard what you said, and what you said is so good, it is like lighting an oil lamp in the dark, making my eyes light up and see things around me. Dade, please let me take refuge in you, please convert me to your Dharma, please let me convert to your Sangha, I am willing to become a monk in your presence, I am willing to take the precepts you have made, I am willing to practice according to your Dhamma." The Buddha said to K, "You must first get dressed." K, who had practiced other teachings, wanted to take refuge in the 3 jewels of Buddhism and prepare to become a monk. Rulai would let them practice according to the Dharma for 4 months, and then, after the observation of their 4-month practice by the Sangha, it would be decided whether to let them receive full ordination and become a formal monk. Of course, Rulai also knows that everyone's situation is different, and for those who have deep roots and wisdom, Rulai will immediately accept their request to become a monk. K said, "Dade, I was a nude practitioner before, and the doctrine of this sect is to give up everything, even clothes, and not cling to everything. Once you cling to anything in the world, you will have trouble and pain, and I know that such a view is an incorrect view. The view that external things are the source of trouble and suffering is a clear dismissal. Dade, I will get dressed as soon as possible and practice according to your Dharma for 4 months. After I have practiced according to your Dharma for 4 months, I will practice according to your Dharma for another 4 years, and let the practitioners in the Sangha observe my practice for these 4 years to see if I am practicing according to your Dharma. Let them use these 4 years of observation of me to decide whether or not to give me full ordination and formal monastic practice. Buddha nodded and agreed to K's preordination trial. K dressed, took the precepts laid down by the Buddha, and practiced according to the Buddha's teachings. K practiced alone in the dense forest. He received the precepts of the Buddha to do good deeds in his actions, words, and thoughts, and not to do evil deeds, and to stop evil and cultivate good. In addition to eliminating his attachment to merit, sin, and sinful karma, no longer worrying about good and evil, merit and sin, and no longer worrying about all things and things in the world, it didn't take long for him to realize that from this life, he would no longer continue to be reborn, he would no longer continue to be born in this world. What he should do had been done, the practice of deeds, words, and thoughts had been completed, he had been freed from all the troubles and pains of the world, and he would no longer be able to reincarnate death. K realized that he had realized the fruit of liberation of the arhat. So K went to the Buddha's residence again, and after paying homage to the Buddha, he sat down next to him and asked the Buddha to seal him. The Buddha knew that K had realized the arhat fruit position, so he touched the top of his head with his hand to confirm that K had realized the arhat fruit position. His Holiness K became one of Buddha's many arhat disciples.